Good afternoon, Mr. Yashwanth NAIK. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, make yourself comfortable. So, you are based at Hyderabad.
Yes, sir.
So, what are you doing now in Hyderabad?
So currently I'm preparing for civil services, sir. I used to work at Gurgaon as a software developer.
Oh, yeah, okay. We mock.
Yes, sir.
Mock, okay. So, why did you quit that job?
So because I wanted to join the civil services, sir. But I was trying to prepare parallelly, but it was not working, so I had to quit the job, sir.
So, here in Hyderabad, you are living in an apartment called Dwaraka Tirumala Colony. Apartment in Dwaraka Tirumala Colony.
It is not an apartment, sir. It is a residential colony, yes, sir.
The point is, what is Dwaraka Tirumala? There is a place in Andhra. Do you know about that place called Dwaraka Tirumala?
Sir, I know Tirumala, sir. Tirupati Tirumala, but I don't know Dwaraka Tirumala, sir. No, sir.
No problem, no problem. Now, what was your work profile in wherever you worked?
Yes, sir. Sir, I was supposed to work as a software developer, sir. The company primarily catered to the Western customers. So they were looking at resumes, LinkedIn profiles of Western individuals and trying to rate them. So they wanted to improve these profiles. And I was assigned to the LinkedIn profiles, sir. So I look at LinkedIn PDFs, rate them. That means my code will rate them. I will not rate them. I will write a code that will rate them. So that was this.
I see, okay. So, how conversant are you with Hyderabad, Telangana related developments and problems?
So fairly, sir. Fairly, yes, sir.
Why is there a controversy about Kaleshwaram lift irrigation scheme?
Right, sir. Sir, in the Medigata barrage, the Vigilance and Enforcement Commission has found that one of the peers of the project found failures there, sir. Also, after investigation recently, they have found that there has been allegations of corruption with respect to the contract agency, that is L&T, sir. Also, the irrigation department of the government has not conducted any inquiries, or also monitoring also has not been done, sir, recently. So these are the various issues, sir.
What about the project as a whole? The costs and benefits of Kaleshwaram lift irrigation scheme? Any idea?
Yes, sir. Kaleshwaram primarily, I think 80,000 crore was spent to construct the whole project. Also, the the government stated that the cost benefit was 1:1.5, but the Comptroller and Auditor General stated that the cost benefit ratio was 1:0.75. So there is more loss than the benefit in the scheme, in the project, sir. So that's what I'm aware of, sir.
More loss than benefit. What do you mean by that?
Means the government will not be able to create that much amount of revenue out of the project, sir. So primarily the Kaleshwaram project was intended to help agriculture sector as such in the state, also the drinking water purposes. But the CAG did an analysis and found out that the benefit will not be as such, as we cannot recover that much amount of money, is what the CAG said, sir.
What is so unique about Kaleshwaram project? Compare it with, say, Nagarjuna Sagar project.
So Kaleshwaram project is a lift irrigation project, sir. So we are lifting water out of a lower height and shifting it to higher heights.
What is who is the owner of Hyderabad Metro Rail?
So owner, yes, sir, once or twice.
Who is the owner?
I'm not sure about the owner, sir, but the project is implemented in PPP mode. Both the L&T and the government are co-owners, I suppose, but I'm not sure of the exact details.
What is a PPP mode project?
So public-private partnership is a type of investment model where private spends money on the project and public or the government acquires the land, or other, even the remaining project amount is also spent by the government. So it is a partnership where some of the risks of the project are transferred to the private sector by the government, sir.
And will the government get back the project?
Yes, sir. After a certain amount of time, whatever that is signed in the concession agreement, the government will get back, sir.
Who is the owner of the project?
I don't know if the ownership has been transferred to the government as such, sir.
The government has to get back after the concession. You use that word concession. So who is the owner
Logically, currently L&T should be the owner, sir, because
government, because it will get back. They only operate, L&T will only operate for certain number of years during the concession period.
I thought the agreement will be for larger amount of time, so let's say 20, 30 years.
Yeah, even after 30 years when the government can get back. So government remains the owner, all right. Have you heard of an institution called ITDA?
Yes, Integrated Tribal Development Agency.
Okay.
Yes.
So why don't we have one in, say, Hyderabad, Rangareddy?
Sir, ITDA is specifically given for areas where the ST population is more than 50%, sir. In contiguous areas it is given. Prior to fifth 5-year plan, we used to have something called tribal development blocks, sir. So after the tribal sub-plan has been implemented after fifth 5-year plan, we have moved on to integrated tribal development projects because we found that TDBs were very small and the infrastructure was not coming in. So we integrated these tribal development blocks to form ITDS.
What is a modified area development approach? Any idea, since you are talking about tribal sub-plan?
Yes.
Have you also heard of modified area development approach?
I did hear about them, sir, but I'm not sure about the details.
Now, have you heard of the problems that are there between Aboriginal tribals and say Banjara tribals in Adilabad district or neighboring districts?
Yes, sir. The issue is primarily between the Goan tribes and Lambada tribes, and also the adjoining small tribes, forest dwellers. So the issue is that the Aboriginals are complaining that the Lambadas have been taking the more than their due share in the uh, administrative jobs or other reservation schemes that have been given by the government.
Tell me something about scheduled area land transfer regulation in the context of tribal areas. What does it say?
So is it a act given by the government, sir?
Regulation, it says land transfer regulation.
So as for the scheduled areas, the main aim of scheduled areas under fifth schedule is that the land transfer should not happen from the non-tribals, from the tribals to the non-tribals, but that regulation as such I'm not aware of, sir.
So finally, before I pass on, there is a committee constituted by the state government to look into the land record problems in Telangana area. Do you know anything about the terms of reference given to them, or what are any idea about Dharani related problems?
Yes, I know the Dharani portal is a e-governance mechanism where the land registration is easier done, but I'm not aware of the issues, sir.
Yeah, Yashwanth Naik.
Sir.
You are answering about the tribals here,
Yes, sir.
the Lambadis and Gons. What is the difference between the plain tribals and hill tribals?
So primarily the economic subsistence on which they live on, sir. For instance, the plain tribals, they can be nomadic, they can be pastoralist, they can be relying on agriculture as well, also the subsistence agriculture. But the hill tribes primarily dwell on forest goods, MFP, micro forest produce. So the economic differences are there, sir, primarily. And also the level of contact with the national mainstream, national society is higher in the hill plain tribes, but it is lower in the hill tribes.
Do you think that the northeastern tribals, they don't have contact with the mainstream?
They do, sir. They do. After the, I'm talking about before British times. Post British times, because of the laws of the British, the contact between tribes and non-tribes has increased. It used to be there because of trade or other such mechanisms, but it was limited. But after the British has come in, the contact between the tribes and non-tribes has increased by paramount. Also after the integrationist approach taken by our government after independence, that was given by Honorable Sri Jawaharlal Nehru. That integrationist approach also said that the tribals have to integrate into the national mainstream at their own pace rather than the mainstream forcing them to integrate, sir.
What are the sociological differences in the tribes who are living in the plain areas and tribes living in hill areas?
Sociological differences, I don't think it varies from tribe to tribe, sir. For instance, If I take the institution of marriage as such, or the marriage payments, some tribes can have bride price, some tribes can have bride service. So it varies from tribe to tribe, sir. I don't think there is a monotonous classification as to hill tribes versus plain tribes.
What are the political differences?
So again, the tribes are primarily they are politically strengthened by the village panchayats or the tribal panchayats they have. It can be there both in the plain tribes and the hill tribes. If I take an example, the 6 schedule areas primarily they have tribal autonomous councils. But in the in the plain areas, for instance, in the Telangana as well, there are panchayats, tribal panchayats. For instance, our own village where I come from, we have a panchayat. So this is what I'm aware of.
Here you, in the hobbies you gave photorealistic drawing.
Yes.
How it differs from the normal drawing?
So normal drawing is something we do out of fun, or it's only sketching kind of things. The only outer lines are drawn. But in the photorealistic drawing, what we try to do is that we try to replicate the image as realistically as possible. The time taken for this any photorealistic drawing, it can vary from 15 to 40, 50 hours. So that is a heavy time scale we are talking about. While for drawing, it is very short time. So I can do a drawing in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but for me to do a photorealistic drawing, add details onto it, add a light, texture, how the shadows are being taken place. So every detail is considered, sir, in photorealistic drawing.
Drawing or?
Yes, sir. It can be pencil drawing, it can be charcoal pencils also. But charcoal pencils, they are tough to erase. So I prefer normal pencils.
You also mentioned strangely they're watching scene and anime.
Yes, sir.
I thought animation is only for children.
No, sir. So, anime specifically come from the Japanese animation, sir. Japanese animation is divided into genres based on the age groups they are catered to, sir. The seinen anime is primarily is for mature people, sir, who are about 20 years of age, let's say. The themes are very diverse. It can be action, it can be slice of life, it can be post-war analysis of any people. So the variation is very high, sir. It's not specifically for people, children.
What seinen means in Japanese language?
Seinen means youth, sir.
Can you tell me some of the Japanese famous seinen movies? I mean animations.
Yes, sir. Currently, I'm watching Solo Leveling. I also like Vinland Saga, One Piece, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. The many.
Monster.
Yes, sir. It is too dark of an anime, so it is too dark, sir. Dark in the sense that the villain in that anime is a kind of psychopath kind of thing, which I didn't connect with. It was too dark for me, so I left it midway, sir.
What is the difference between the animation produced in from Korea and Japan?
Yes, sir. Sir, I don't think animation is produced in Korea.
Korean animation popular in Hyderabad nowadays among the college going people.
That is K-drama, sir. That is TV series. That is a real world TV series. But coming to animation, any animation, it is first drawn in comic forms and then it is converted into anime, sir. Korea has a comic form of animation, like drawings, but it does not have an anime industry. It does not have an animation industry like Japan.
Yeah. Yashwant, you were team head in a defense expo and you had an opportunity to visit some units.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what are the learnings from such visits?
Sir, the course in my 6th semester, ex-Lieutenant General Mr. Ravi Shankar came to visit IIT Madras and as a visiting professor and took the course. The main aim of the course was to bridge the gap between academia and the defense industry. So the defense expo was happening in Chennai only that time. I'm from IIT Madras, so it was happening in Chennai only. So he thought that it will be a good idea for us to visit these manufacturing units. So the learnings as such, he wanted us to see what is the difference between the Indian manufacturing companies and the foreign manufacturing companies. For instance, I was associated with Rosoboron Exports, that is a Russian defense manufacturing company. So we looked at the differences between the weapons that are produced by this Russian company and the Indian companies like HAL, Ordnance Factory Boards. So these are things, learnings as such. The Rosoboron Export was producing 5th generation Glock, 5th generation pistols. The generations of pistols were higher, sir, and they were concentrated on customization, personal customization to each individual, while we are still stuck at 4th generation, that is just mass production of pistols. Yes.
So in recent times, we are also talking about Atmanirbhar in defense production.
Yes.
What quantum change has it brought in terms of defense production, and what policy changes have occurred insofar as defense production in our country is concerned?
Sir, the defense, we are producing so much that we are also looking at defense exports as such, sir. And defense Atmanirbhar push has only been recent, like 5 to 6 years only it started. So the defense exports currently stands at $1.9 billion, sir, in 2023. It is 10 times of what the exports was in 2016. So the change is visible, and we are also setting high targets for defense production and defense exports, sir.
Now, we also hear about use of drones in our security and particularly in defense. What has been their role, and how do you see it and relate it to your exposure to this defense expo? In what way it is going to change the scenario, if at all?
Yes, sir.
Sir, we see that the warfare all over the world is shifting from brawls to brains. So in that movement only, we are seeing autonomous drones, the manless drones. We only control the drones. There is no man involved with these drones. So what is happening is the Pakistan border, also China border, for instance, they are sending drones. This is killing. Not even killing, but this is the militants in the Jammu Kashmir. They are getting these ammunition, guns and all from the units of Pakistan, sir. So this is changing the internal security scenario of India, as it is difficult to originate where they are coming from, and it is difficult to detect them, sir. So this is the issue that is going on, sir.
Which means the more and more drones we use, suppose as Indian defense forces, can we dispense with the forces being deployed on the borders, in places like Aksai Chin and in the freezing cold and all that? Eventually, are we moving in that direction?
I don't think so, sir. If we want to control the spread of drones in these areas, we have to come up with radar systems. But men in defense are still necessary, and they have to be posted on the defense areas. Given that recently the BSF jurisdiction has increased from 15 kilometers to 50 kilometers in neighboring states of Punjab, Assam, West Bengal, we see that more manpower is necessary, and they are guarding our borders, sir.
So you are a technocrat, that too, dual degree and a mechanical engineer from a prestigious IIT institute. But surprisingly, you have chosen to become an employee in the first place, and now you are also shifting gears and aspiring to become a public servant. Now, given the fact that we are talking so much about stand-up India, startup ecosystems, and all that, are you not really attracted towards all this talk about Startup India and Stand-up India?
Sir, I am attracted from a policy perspective, sir, definitely. But startups as such,
You mean reality is different?
reality in what sense?
You are attracted to the policy, you said.
Yes,
But do you have any illusions about the policy? That's what I meant.
no, sir. For instance, startups, 90% of startups fail in India, sir. And there is a structural need to correct the system so that the startups can have a greater ground. But do I have an interest in any startup? No, sir, because startup is something idea should generate first, and then we have to go for a startup. But the craze in startups, something what's happening is people are just blindly going towards startups, creating startups, which is leading to greater failure in number of startups. Most of them are hollow. But given the scenario, still we have to push for people so that the entrepreneurship in our country increases. One of the steps towards the direction is the establishment of T-Hub in Telangana. Even entrepreneurship cells are established in multiple colleges of India. So the steps are going on. My interest lies in providing a push for the startups rather than creating a startup myself. So.
Maybe you are somewhere hinting that there are some gaps in the startup ecosystem. In your perception, what are those gaps?
Right, sir. So the seed funding is not really available. Even though it is available, the processes are still slow. The second, the structural reforms are necessary in our economy. Starting a company in India still takes 29 days, while it takes 4 days only in China. Even the exiting a company in India takes nearly 659 days, I suppose. Even though IBC, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, is working well, there are still gaps. The third, legal reforms are also necessary. Although labor codes are brought in, we are still not seeing the effects of it. So what we want are strong laws, sir, not stringent laws as such. So these are the issues that are pertaining to the economic sector and also startups specifically, sir.
Means actually our engineering colleges and prestigious institutes like IITs, they are really training these technocrats for an entrepreneurial kind of a transition.
Definitely, sir. In our college, I see there is an ESL setup. There is also IIT Madras Research Park. For instance, for the seed funding, there is ESL. But if the startup has been established, they can have a space at this research park so that they continue to produce results. One such startup which produces results is Aether Energy. Aether Energy is a IITM startup which is doing good in electric vehicles.
I think in the course of your explaining this ecosystem, somewhere you just said there is some hollowness about the very ideas regarding the startups. Is it not an indictment of all the IITs about which we have so much high opinion?
Sir, it's not about IITs as such, sir. It's about the mad rush towards startups. It should be there at the beginning stage. It will be there. That is what we need also. But people are running towards startups as if, what do I say, without any idea, without any concrete idea, without any plan. They are just attracted to this idea called entrepreneurship based on how the Western startups are based. They are just running towards this idea, sir. It should be based on concrete plan, I believe, sir.
Now, coming as you do from Telangana and also Hyderabad based and all that. Now, Telangana, after it was formed, now we are now in the almost 10 years. But at the time when the entire demand was raised for demerger, there was an apprehension that it will trigger more such demands in the country, and then we may have to. The politicians were afraid that they may have to concede such demands, and India will become, more smaller units and all. But that did not happen. Why?
Sir, it has to be seen by case basis, sir. For instance, if we look at Bodoland in Assam, we have created a tripartite agreement between government of Assam, India and the Bodoland government, sir. We also created autonomous councils there so that the political representation will be taken care of. While some ideas like Vidarbha region in Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, sorry, and also regions called Bhil Pradesh, which spreads across 4 states. These have not materialized because there is no backing on it, sir. The regions are not homogeneous to say that we can create a state out of them. There is intermixing of population. So it has to be seen by case basis, sir.
So what was the case for Telangana?
So for Telangana, Historical reasons were also a part of it, sir. Because 1956 gentleman's agreement that was signed in after AP reorganization. Yes.
Good. Now, what are the outstanding issues between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh which are yet to be sorted out
So,
as per the Reorganization Act?
yes, sir. So one is Krishna River issues that are still happening, sir. The currently, as an ad hoc mechanism, 2/3 of the water is given to the AP government, sir. But the current government is asking for half of the Krishna water. And secondly, Singarini collieries, sir. Singarini collieries, as per the 12th schedule of the Act, it clearly mentions that the division has to be in terms of 50-50 division has to happen. But the AP government is asking for division in terms of population, which would lead to 58% of the company going to the AP government, sir. These are two issues from the AP Reorganization Act. And also there is one more issue like a film.
Laid down ratio, no?
50 to 48.
50 to 48 is the laid down ratio.
Sir, in the 12th
Even when it comes to sharing of, employees and all that, assets and liabilities, everywhere the same ratio is followed.
Sir, in the 12th schedule of the Act, I have seen that equal division has to happen, but maybe I'm missing something, sir. I'll look into it.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Yashwanth, the union government in 2023, especially budget, announced a national green hydrogen mission.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what are the targets? What is the intent? What is the investment? And what capability does India have to, get into a hydrogen-based economy in the long term?
Sir, I'm not aware of the numbers, but I can give an analysis of the mission, sir. So the green hydrogen is still in the nascent stage in India, sir. Can I have some water, sir?
Yeah.
The green hydrogen establishment in India is still in its nascent stage, sir. The power production by green hydrogen is still very low. Renewable energy, it has gone to 41%, but the focus is primarily on solar energy and hydro energy also. But the focus on green hydrogen is missing. Although the budget has come up in the last year, we are still in nascent stage, so we have to look into it. Even the fuel cell enabled electric vehicles, which is powered using hydrogen, that is still not going on in India, sir. It's in nascent stage, sir, overall.
Then, which ministry would be implementing this mission? You have an idea?
Sir, I'm not aware of it, but I can take a guess, sir. It might be Ministry of Power, sir. Ministry of Power and Renewable and Ministry of Renewable Energy. Probably.
Yeah. Now, in the discussion with startups and entrepreneurship, now you said there's something basically wrong, things are not moving in a proper direction. And the mortality is very high in startups. But I'd like to point out your IIT Madras as an example of good entrepreneurship, reasonably good startup. The center which is headed by Junjunwala. He has created excellent examples in telecom, IT, renewable energy, all that. There's many successful startups and entrepreneurs come. And very recently, Vadhwani, donated 110 crores to set up a center, which is one of the largest individual contribution of an alumnus to IIT. So, IIT has demonstrated reasonably well in all these areas. Now, is it a replicable model, and do you think some lessons can be drawn from there? You spend time, I'm sure you're familiar with all that I'm saying.
Sir, just to clarify myself, I'm bullish about startup culture. So I'm not saying startup culture as such is bad in India. I'm saying it is still growing. We are third or fourth largest startup ecosystem in the world. we are doing well, but there are certain structural reforms that are needed. That is my opinion, sir. And also, I didn't quite get the question what I was supposed to answer on, sir.
No, the IT model,
Yes,
can
sir.
it be replicated?
So, yes, sir, definitely. The startups, they're primarily coming from universities of national eminence only currently. Also, they are coming from rural areas as well, but they are low. So, if we are to move ahead with the startup ecosystem in our nation, it can be moved to NITs, central universities, but the funding has to be given, sir. Currently, the funding from the government goes to these IITs only. 65% of the R&D funding among the institutes goes to IITs only, sir. So we need to diversify the funding so that the startup ecosystem also thrives on it, sir. The current step taken by
India program, it depends on ideas. Anybody who gives an idea, that department will go through, and so which means ideas are not good.
No, sir, I'm not saying that. No, sir, ideas are always needed, and that is what has let our economy move, sir. That's what humankind relies on. But
You also mentioned the T-Hub.
yes,
in the discussion. Now, T-Hub has been ranked number 1, in terms of innovation and, whatever they have been doing. But if you look at Hyderabad as a center for innovation, startup ideas and all that, we have not come up with half a dozen unicorns in the last 2-3 years, or 4-5 years since T-Hub has become active, or we have also, we have T-Works, we have, so the innovation climate or ecosystem in terms of infrastructure is available, but we are not coming up with any unicorns compared to say Bangalore, Bombay, Chennai or whatever. Do you see any lacunae here?
sir, for the Bangalore, I believe it is because of the thriving IT ecosystem that is there, sir. Primarily, startups in India are mostly services based, sir. They are not spreading towards manufacturing sector as such. They are primarily based on software and also IT solutions, because seed fund is easily available and scaling up is easier. So that is the reason. Coming to Hyderabad, we have created the infrastructure, and infrastructure will see results only in the medium terms. I don't think we can see results immediately, given the fact that these cities that we have mentioned, Mumbai, Bangalore, they are historically strong in terms of funding and also in terms of IT sectors. So we will see the
Will you find a shortage in funding or in IT, technology and all that?
Sir, the ecosystem, sir.
Overall ecosystem.
Yes, sir. Overall ecosystem
And what does that ecosystem consist of?
Sir, overall I can think of is culture, sir. If there is a recognition of ideas, if there is sense of ownership given to each individual, they will come up with ideas, sir, which is there in Bangalore and other cities. But the ground condition as such, I'm not aware of, sir. I'm only aware of what.
If you look at last 5 to 6 years, what Mr. KTR has been talking about, and if you see, entire Cyberabad, all the best names globally are all there. So I think they have found some, climate, ecosystem here to come and set up their shop here. No, otherwise why will they come?
Yes, sir. There is manpower, there is infrastructure. But why we are not able to produce startups? I'll look into it, sir. I'm not really aware of it.
Now, recently the Andhra Pradesh government, inaugurated a 125 feet Ambedkar statue.
Yes, sir.
They claimed it's the tallest in the world and all that. Now, what is this culture of erecting statues? What purpose? The few months earlier, in Telangana, you had an Ambedkar statue.
Yes.
Similarly, you have Statue of Unity, Ramanuja statue. What purpose are they serving?
So primarily from the positive perspective, I would say there are two purposes, sir. So one is the symbolic purpose, sir. It makes us proud about our heritage and where we have come from. Secondly, it creates an economy around it, sir. when we have a statue, the tourism sector comes in, we find small shops, unorganized sector also comes in. So there is a small economy that is established around these statues, sir. But yes, sir, they are also funded on our taxpayers' money. Are they necessary? Are they not? We have to see from the long-term perspective, sir. We cannot judge it from the short-term perspective. We have to see if they create enough resources for us economically and culturally in the long-term perspective. And if they are done, then we have to go ahead, sir.
But is it a tourist attraction that is the intent for building such statues, or political motive? What drives?
So it is
Probably a mix of both.
Huh?
probably a mix of both, sir. For instance, in Gujarat, Statue of Unity,
It has been generating good tourism. Also, Statue of Equality, statue Ramanujacharya statue in Shamshabad, sir, Shadnagar. But there it has been generating good revenue. Tourism sector has been increasing there, sir. So it has to be seen from both perspectives, sir, both the political and economic.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, Yashwanth. In our country, the elections are a very big thing. Every 5 years or whichever way you say it. Now, a lot of funds or use of money is seen there. One way to come out of the excessive use of money, they said, was electoral bonds. Use of electoral bonds. So, how do electoral bonds work in reducing the expenditure or in raising money or using money in elections, and what has been the controversy about it as we saw in the Supreme Court arguments?
yes, sir.
So coming to the necessity of electoral bond, earlier the electoral bond came up to reduce the corruption that is there in the politics of India, sir. So what it says is that the anonymity of the donor will be preserved, while there we can see that there is only SBI which can give this money, sir. We'll buy a bond from SBI and will give that bond to the political party, which will reclaim it from the bank. So it is a good measure, sir. It is good looking from the historical perspective, because the previous system was fraught with easy corruption. Now coming to the controversies that exist around this, it is said that since the SBI is in the control of government, the current ruling government will have a better beneficial comparative advantage over other parties, is being said, sir. Also, a report by ADR has found that the current ruling party has received 65 to 70% of the funding, and the second biggest party has got rest of the money. So the money is not going towards the smaller parties as it was intended before, sir.
Now, you've been in Delhi, Gurgaon, I think, right? For a long time. Gurgaon till 2 years back was that area, Haryana was the epicenter of the farm laws agitation.
Yes, sir.
What was the farm laws agitation all about? What were the 3 farm laws? And why did they create such uproar?
Yes, sir. Sir,
The farm laws as such, 3 farm laws were released, sir. One was about contract farming, that there can be contract between the private sector and the farmers. The second was about the farmers being able to sell apart from mandis, outside of mandis, and they can sell to the outsiders, sir. And the third was the repeal of Essential Commodities Act, which was brought out to prevent hoarding, but it has led to non-development of storage infrastructure in our country. The farm laws were in right direction, sir. If our agriculture sector is to improve, we have to go in that direction only. But coming to farm laws protest, why they were there? The farmers were fearing that the MSP will be removed in the future in this direction. And also they were saying that there were no deliberations that were carried out with the farmers union before coming up with the laws.
Okay. This week, a place in Varanasi was in the news. Yanvapi Masjid. Now, what was it all about? And do you think it was wise to open up the locks or open up the masjid cellar for prayers, Hindu prayers, especially when there's a place of worship act which said nothing to change?
The places of worship are categorically
Categorically states that the religious character of any religious institution cannot be changed from what it was during the independence, that is August 15, 1947. Yes, sir. Given the matter is sub judice both in the High Court and the Supreme Court, and also the there is the threat of communal harmony in the areas, I believe that a step should not have been taken, sir, because it opens a Pandora's box. Why it can lead to people going to other temples as well and opening up of different mosques.
Do you think this order of the district court went against the spirit of the religious worship, place of worship act?
it did not, sir.
It did not?
No, sir.
How come? You
Sir,
said
yes, sir. The act
States that the religious character cannot be changed, but finding the religious character of the act is not wrong, which is stated by Supreme Court in 2007 judgment, sir.
if you join the civil service, you face a lot of moral dilemmas. A lot of moral dilemmas, and the higher you go, the lonelier you are. You have to take a decision yourself. You can't rely on anyone else. Suppose you are head of a district or you are the home secretary, and you know that some subversive activity is taking place. If you get Pegasus or some instrument like that, you can find out what these people are up to. You cannot sanction it officially because of various reasons, but you need to know what is happening. How would you like to go about it?
Sir, it depends on the two factors, sir. One is the gravity of the issue. Second, if it's legal or not. If it's illegal, then it is out of bounds, sir. I don't think I will go with it. Given the gravity of the issue, I will follow legally, and whatever means of information I can get, I will go through legally only, sir.
These times, these are getting more and more specialized. Administration, every walk of life is getting more and more specialized. Do you think the IAS is still relevant? Is it time to disband it and go for specialized offices?
Sir, I would beg to differ, sir.
We still need a generalist officers who are also the government is looking at lateral entry to bring specialized officers into the administration. But I believe that a generalist perspective is necessary along with the lateral entry. So lateral entry should be continued, but the way out can be that create entry for the generalists who are knowledgeable about every aspect of society, but as they grow through the ranks, keep their domain fixed, or it should not vary as such. So education, you can keep it in the education, you can keep the person in the education sector only, so that the domain experience that person has gained throughout the years can be used in the best possible manner.
Okay, Yashwanth, that's the end of the mock personality test. As you know, the purpose is to constructively criticize you so that you will build on your strengths and work on areas which require, if at all, some improvement. Okay, we'll give our feedback. I'll start after the end of it, after everyone gives. If you have any doubts or clarification to seek, you may do so. I must say your performance is very impressive. You have a very pleasing personality. Your articulation is good. You are also using keywords wherever required. Your general awareness is good. Only thing is, you should keep yourself abreast of the problems, related to your area, your village, your town, your state. Current affairs, brush up, and then about Dharani, the current issues and all that, the committee constituted by the government to look into the problems. Dharani is not just meant for registration of, transfer of property. It's meant for recording the land ownership from manual to digitized form. And in that, several issues have cropped up, and now committee is looking into it. And just since I asked about ownership and all that of the metro, it depends on the structure of the contract. As you said, concession agreement is the key.
Yes.
In some cases, it is build operate. In some cases, build operate transfer. In case of Hyderabad Metro, it is called design, build, finance, operate, transfer. Some cases, it may be lease and transfer. Depends how it is structured. And ownership also depends based on how it is structured. That's all. Otherwise, you are quite promising, and I think there is nothing much to add. You continue to be what you are, pleasing and charming personality as you have. I'm sure you'll definitely get a high rank. All the best.
Thank you.
Yashwanth, I think you know what my panelists said. You are very articulate in your answers, and I could see you also, your depth of answers are quite good, I must say. You have bothered for the details. It's not only superficial. Keep it up. And the only thing is, I don't know when, this is the first time you are going for interviews, isn't it?
It's my second time.
Second
I
time.
went in 2021. Sir.
How much do
I
you
had
have?
149, sir. 149.
Okay. But some other, we didn't ask here about the budget and the other things.
Yes.
Some of the things in case your interview is coming now. These are the current issues you may have to focus.
Yes, sir.
But the way you answered is quite impressive, I must say. And all the best.
I wanted to say, but I couldn't. About the question on formulas, I'm sure my friend will add. You started saying that that's the right way of doing. You support it. And then subsequently you came to the other's viewpoint, the opposing viewpoint from the farmer's side, that apprehensions about MSP and all that.
Yes,
So you should start with giving arguments of both sides. Then if you are asked to give your opinion, right or wrong, you give. Otherwise, don't venture to give your own opinion.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Yashwanth, I mean, there, in terms of content on a few issues, I think you need to add more, particularly in relation to the startup ecosystem.
I came across in a wrong way, sir. I wanted to be bullish on it.
But Samish,
And also the statement that most of the ideas are hollow, shallow and things like is certainly something which you should have avoided. Because the way you were actually taking the entire conversation was quite good, but suddenly it came as a surprise to me why this chap is using things like it was all ideas are shallow and things like that.
Now, if I may
Sir, please.
interrupt on this issue, is something called innovation ecosystem. One way you can also defend your point about shallow ideas coming up to that stage by saying that innovation ecosystem is one where bright ideas come up in the classroom and the professors, the teachers there nurture those ideas, and some of them are taken forward and many of them fall into something called a death valley. They can't see the light of the day. Okay, then whatever are promising ideas, the venture capitalists and the angel investors, they come and pick up and start venture. They are startups. When they commercialize these operations, they are called startups, where angel capital comes. You are right, without fructification of that idea up to that stage where it is required to be taken up in the graph, if it is called a startup, by pampering the individuals, by having P hubs and V hubs and having all hype, they are bound to fail. So one way, I wanted to interrupt because one way you can defend it by saying that, which is also a fact. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a valuable addition that he has made, a new dimension actually. Actually, that summarizes the whole thing. And secondly, not many, maybe IITs you may have a cell where this kind of hand holding and instilling some confidence in technocrats to become entrepreneurs and all that. But majority of the engineering colleges, they are just they produce degree holders. That's all. Beyond that, nothing happens. And then the kind of skills and the kind of what you call that knowledge that is required to become entrepreneur, from a technocrat to entrepreneur, that is also not part of your syllabus or education whole process. So the mere fact that you come out of an engineering college with a BTech doesn't make you an entrepreneur. It requires many more things. isn't it? So that there's a huge gap there.
Yes, sir.
There's a huge gap there. Okay. Uh, that explains actually why we don't have many related question which he asked about unicorns.
Yes.
Okay. So there is a linkage there, right? And of course, your understanding of AP, Telangana, discord,
Yeah, 58-42, he said that correctly, yeah.
58-42 is a ratio which is
Yeah.
followed across all issues. Okay. It's part of the Reorganization Act itself.
Sir, but I looked at the 12th schedule of the Act, sir. It says equal division. So
I thought Singareni Collieries Company. So probably.
No, different schedules have different provisions. 58-42 is for certain schedules.
Okay.
For others, it is the place at which the organization is located. It is non-divisible. In respect of some corporations, the staff and assets are divisible in that proportion. So we have to go into the details. It's not uniformly, across all the institutions and corporations.
Okay. And also keeping in view the community you come from, and also your subject being anthropology, though, and I think most of us did not ask much about that except sir. Some of the important festivals, tribal festivals of Telangana,
yes.
like Nagoba Jatra, Sammaka, Saraka, whether they are state festivals, recognition and all that, and brief background about that. And also, Uttarakhand recently cleared UCC.
Yes, sir.
STs were kept out of that. The reasons why. Okay. So I think beyond that, there's nothing much to add. They're fairly good. Maybe I think you should keep in touch with the current developments and all the best.
Yeah, Yashwant, I think we just had an extension of that entire startup thing, but I think you need a bit more clarity on Hyderabad. We have the best of what they call T-Hub, V-Hub, T-Works. And if you look at the last 10 years, Hyderabad is a good destination.
Yes.
Finds all the big names. So there is something interesting that multinationals find in Hyderabad. So there is a strength. But as far as startups are concerned and unicorns, we are lacking. And they said that ecosystem is missing. Infrastructure is there. Ideas are also there because the number of proposals that T-Hub gets or V-Hub gets. And V-Hub is a very unique kind of organization, women-led entrepreneurship and startups.
Yes, sir.
But as far as the ecosystem is concerned, the full circle of players, are not there. For example, you don't have many PE funds sitting here. You don't have financial analysts who are here, for which you have to go to Bombay or whatever. Whereas Bangalore, Mumbai, Gurugram, Chennai have a good ecosystem for the development of entrepreneurship or startups.
Yes.
So that culture and ecosystem are not fully mature enough for startups to grow. But if you look at aerospace, again, Hyderabad is developing fast as an aerospace hub.
Yes, sir.
So there, I think the ecosystem is there. You have DRDO laboratories, you have the SCZ, you have concessions, land, or human resources. The other thing, you said that, in India it takes 29 days to get permission or whatever. In China it takes 4 days. Now you should be aware of our Telangana IPAS.
TS IPAS.
TS IPAS. Now they have claimed in 21 days you will get license or your proposal will be okay. Now if that doesn't happen, the officer will be penalized or penalty will be levied. So that is a claim of the state policy stated, and the policy is appreciated by everyone in letter. Now, when implementation comes, there are other glitches perhaps. So I think you need to be more accurate in your facts and understanding. And finally, on the statues also, two things. One, you can argue that symbolically it's good, awareness, pride, all kinds of things are there, and you are saying, it's a tourist attraction. Now tell me, when will you recover the return on investment on, say, 4,000 crores through tourist ticketing and all that from
So
a
that's
place?
why the study has to be made, sir.
Huh?
If we can recover or not.
And how long will you sustain it? Supposing tourism is it continuously going to be popular for 25, 30 years?
Well, estimation we can make, sir. Given
So
all
today
the-
morning I was coming from the Sardar Ambedkar statue.
Yes, sir.
There were not even 5 people in the morning.
Yes, sir. Here.
So in the evening you'll find 10 people. So after, this is how much? 6 to 8 months after it's.
Construction.
So that is it. So tourism is not a very, very justifiable thing unless you have statistics to prove.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's my. But otherwise, I think you are quite glued on to issues, quite confident, and articulation is good. You brush up all this, and I'm sure you'll do well.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yashwanth, you're very comprehensive in your answers, both the range and the depth. Good. I mean, the questions they highlighted, the panelists, they need attention. Otherwise, I'm impressed by the range and depth, definitely. Having said that, I'll point out two things for your benefit. One, this watching silent anime, I don't know how great thing it is, because when I looked up about it, it said adult viewing includes violence, sex, etc., etc. So since you already mentioned it, you might as well build up your response if someone goes into it in depth. And I'm not saying it is good, bad or ugly, but this is, prima facie, this is what hit me when I first checked up about it.
Sir,
Well, even you
actually
can
it's
give-
not,
yeah.
what is this, sir?
Okay, second is, you are good on everything across the country and maybe even across the world or whatever, but you are weakest in Hyderabad, in Telangana, Muchintal, the
Ramanuja.
Statue of Equality. You said
Shamshabad.
Yeah, correct.
No, not on. This is your hometown.
Yes.
Dharani. He asked you about Dharani. I mean, there is no concession for you on your hometown, your home state, your employment, your education, your interests. No concession on that. So you have to be good on that. So these are the two major things. The other things which I would say, you should maintain eye contact with other members of the panel also. You are answering one person and sticking to that.
Yes.
So while you focus on that person who asked the question most of the time, let's say 60-40 or 70% of the time, take a look at the others, just see whether they are sleeping or not. So you have to engage the others also. It doesn't look good if you think that the others don't matter right now. That's one. Then I hope you take the beard off when you go for the
Yes,
interview.
sir.
Okay, good. Your strength is your photorealistic drawing and your interest, man. That you should draw people onto that. Because what normally panelists find is candidates use these terms for window dressing, for gold plating their CV, But you know the thing. So you should actually draw people into that. So they are really impressed. Okay. Then the last thing, it's a minor one. Honorable Sri Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, I mean, I respect Nehruji also, but it was over the board. Okay, there's nothing big. And I'm sorry, Gyan Vapi, one thing I forgot to tell you. It does not violate the Place of Worship Act because Mulayam Singh Yadav shut it down in 1993.
Yeah.
So this is a current affair which is going to be a hot potato. Be thorough about it. Thank you.
Good. Any doubts, clarifications you want to say?
Now it's
That was the only doubt. How should I shift my movement from one person to other? It feels very unnatural to me, to be honest. So I don't know. It's
That will be a shade better. That's all. No, it's not non-negotiable. No problem. But try to look at look around. It will not be so wide actually in the actual interview. You will be making perhaps some contact.
That's it, sir.
Good. All the best. God bless you.
Best of luck. You will do well.
You may carry it.